I do not speak on behalf of anyone else that works at the City of Groves Fire Department. But I represented the group back in the late 90s. When the issue came up, the policy back in those days, if we worked shift overtime, we got paid 1.5 our base pay. If we came in and worked a fire off duty, we went back to a 40-hour-a-week pay, which was a considerable amount of difference. We had a huge ice storm. We came out on a house fire, and most of us didn't go home till the next day. The powers that be decided they were going to pay us 40 hours for 1 hour, and the rest of it was going to be paid 56, although that we fought fires in the middle of all that. So we came and filed a grievance, went through the process, came to council. Council basically told us that the policy could be interpreted either way. It was too vague. So they gave marching orders to Mr. Brinson to come back with one overtime rate, regardless of whether it was shift overtime or fire overtime. And he came back with 1.87 our base pay. So, during the presentation by Human Resources to our representatives, they informed them the sheet that you're looking at on the top, this is the breakdown and comparison between us and Nederland and Port Neches Fire Department. Pretty self-explanatory. So the problem is the raw math behind the thing doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And we're just going to talk about my position as a fire captain. If I go down to that raw number and compare, I'm 8%. If the system goes through, when we did the water study, we delayed payment and went to the every other year, and then did the half per year, the 3.5 or whatever it was. So when I look at it now, because it's hard to compare apples to apples when they work 53 hours a week and I work 56 hours a week. But the raw number is, the City of Nederland, I'll be making 16% less than my counterpart. I'll be making 8% less than my counterpart in Port Neches. Keep in mind that that number has nothing to do with the TMRS retirement, which they pay an additional 2% of their annual salary towards their employees, because they're at 7 and 14, we're only at 6 and 12. So if you flip the page and look, the discrepancies in the math are, if you look at what a firefighter makes in Groves, if the plan goes all the way through to the end, that's the increase he's going to make. And you can see back on the other page how far he is from the Nederland and the Port Neches guy. And then I just give you the numbers on mine. All the way down to where we look at the assistant fire marshal, he's going to be within about 2% of his counterpart. So we understand that I understand it's a very complex thing. The 1.87, trying to say that they don't have it in Port Neches or in Nederland, is not comparing apples to apples, because if you come out and look at the number of folks that attend fires in the Port Neches and Nederland Fire Department, they do not have the off-duty response that we have. More of us make overtime than they do. And I kept hearing a couple things after the storm was that some of this money problem we got is due to the fire department and the police department overtime. Hey, I'm sorry we had a hurricane, but I showed up to work when they called me. And so it's the same thing I'm faced with. If you want to know the difference between the 1.5, which is proposed, and the 1.87, it's $8.88 during the day for me. I also do a task of maintaining our fleet over there. John, with our local garage as well as Martin Apparatus and Fort Acres, those two places do the majority of work. And it frustrates me to think that somebody's gonna call me at the house and tell me they ought to call with a truck, and I'm gonna feel good about coming, getting in my truck and driving down here for $8.88 less. Now, if you look at the amount of overtime that's worked during the year, we're not talking about a whole bunch of money. So why even bring it up? I don't understand. And I will say that regardless of opinions, during that presentation, the representatives on 2 different occasions would be in 2 different reps. They were told, if you say anything negative about this, we're going to take the raise and move you down the chart. If that's not a threat, you can cut your eyes. There was 2 different ones in front of you, one time in front of Chief Jackson, and the other time. It wasn't me. But those young men have no reason to lie. And I mean, that's sad that we've come to that.
Is there anybody else in the department that feels like you do?
Those that were present or not.
Mr. Nelson, do you feel like he does?
Well, I don't have comments.
Okay.
I started off and told you this is me talking about me. I made it very clear. And I don't think, who do we go to if we feel threatened like that? We come to here, right? That's why I'm here.
We have HR too.
No, they're the ones making the threat. So where do we go?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm shocked because I was at that meeting, and what we tried to do is simplify this whole thing. And we talked to the chief, we talked to CJ, we were very respectful, and I was there with Lamar and Stephanie, and I did not threaten anyone, they didn't threaten anyone.
If they
I'm not going to let you come in here and tell
Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna sit here and argue with him.
No.
When he loses his cool and calls me a sorry son of a bitch, somebody's gonna have to answer for it next time. You're already aware that he's done that. And we'll bring the witnesses in here. You lost your cool over in front of my station one day.
How long ago was that? I don't
Doesn't
remember.
matter how long ago, D, you lost your cool and you don't
I
like me.
apologize.
Okay.
It's the same thing happened this time.
All right.
They put it to our guys that if we said anything, they were not gonna give us the raise. That's pathetic. That needs
That's
to
not
stop.
true. That's not true.
D,
That's not true.
Let's not argue about this, Billy. We'll,
I'll bring you,
yes.
I mean, what you're saying, you either do what we tell you or you're not getting a raise. And that's exactly what they did.
That is not true. And every time you say it, I'm going to say it's not true.
Okay. Well,
I think
You can ask Chief Jackson. He was there.
we'll
Sir.
set up a meeting